Hi, I'm Lazze and I'm teaching people in metal shaping, and we are back here on YouTube again with more tips and tricks. People want to learn more, and I appreciate all the views we have on YouTube. People have asked me how I do a reverse curve on a motorcycle side tank like this. So on this video I'm going to show you how to do that, and it's actually not complicated at all. It probably can be almost done in the same time as a normal side of a half tank. So in this case, when I have this reverse or concave surface here, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start make this part first. After that, then I'm going to bend this edge here in the bead roller, and that means that this part here, that's going to be flat. And then I can go in with a deep shrinker and shrink this part in, and then roll this with a rubber band and maybe shrink a little bit there to create that shape. So let's go to the table here, and I'm going to show you the layout for that. So the first thing I need to do is I need to clean this one. This is just a sample of a design that I made. If you're going to make your own tank for a motorcycle, I recommend that you set this so it actually will be the side view for the motorcycle. So if you make that centerpiece for the tank, you can set that on a motorcycle. You can trace this out on paper first, and this is the actual size you want. Then I recommend that you cut this maybe a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch bigger when you cut this out. That's what you're going to start with. So that means that this size here is going to be about 1/2 inch all the way around, smaller than this view that you see. So the first thing I do is I need to find out where I want this concave shape to be. So I have a template for this. So let's see where I can find this where I want it to be. Let's do something like that. And you can make that to any shape you want. So I mark this on the inside like that. The only thing you need to think about now that when I mark this one, this will be the inside, so this will be the other side of the tank that I'm going to make. So now it's time for me to go over to the English wheel and start roll this up here. And when I have this side up and roll it in the English wheel, it's going to curve up here. I can go over this edge here, that's fine. I want to do that. And I actually want to roll it more here and less the further back I go. Because the depth on this one is more here in the front and less the further back I go. So let's go over to the English wheel and start rolling this. And then I'm going to use the deep stretcher and help it to raise up a little more. So I'm using the stretcher, and I can actually lift up the metal. And you can see how it actually looks like it's a distortion. And it is a little bit, but that's okay because I can smooth that out in the wheel again. So when you're using the shrink or the stretcher, be as consistent as you can, so you actually, the easier it will be for you to roll it up when you go back to the English wheel. So now I have a little more, and I would like to go back to the English wheel now and roll it up and smooth it out a little more before we go to the bead roller. So I'm still going to use number 2 wheel for my English wheel. I could go over to the 3rd wheel, but it's a narrow touching point there, so the tracks needs to be closer together. We will see if I go over to this one later. And I need to create this shape first because if I do the other part of it, then I can't reach in to do that. And I can't bend it in the bead roll after that line. So that's why I must create this shape first. So there we go. I think we have quite a bit there now. So I think I'm going to go to the bead roller and bend this part of it. So the dies that I'm going to use in the bead roller is a big flat one on the bottom. And because this flange here is a little bigger than the die here, so I'm probably going to end up with a little mark, but I can fix that with English wheel later on. On the top I'm using a pretty narrow one, but still a little radius to it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to tip this like this, okay? I'm standing so I can see the line. So I think we have a pretty good shape there. I need to bend it a little more in the beginning there. Other than that, I think it looks good. Here's the little scribe there. I didn't get much mark from the die, so I think I was okay. Other times I had a little more mark on the dies there, but I can smooth that out with a wheel. So let me bend this a little more. Like that. And if you want more, you can roll more. You can maybe go to the sandbag and you can hammer up this part a little more. You can use a planishing hammer and planish that out and stretch it even more if you want. I think this will be okay. So let's go over to the table and I'm going to mark this out, this circle here, so I know how far in I'm going to go with a deep shrinker and shrink it. So I take like a cutting disc as a circle. You can use a divider too, but this tells me how far in I go with a shrinker. And here, this is going to be rolled with a rubber band. And here, this part here probably going to be shrunk, but not much there. So it mostly is this part here that is an outer curve that needs to be shrunk. If I shrink this one now, so I'm grabbing it more on the edge and less the further into the circle I go, the more it's going to bring it up like this. So that's what I'm going to do with the deep shrinker now. So I'm using the rubber band on the top wheel on the English wheel, and if you have watched my other videos, you probably remember that the rubber band makes it so it bends the metal only 2 dimension. So the lower wheel pushing up the sheet in the soft rubber, and it makes it 2 dimension. With solid wheels, it will bend it 3 dimension. So I'm going to go in here and I adjust the pressure a little bit. And again, I'm looking at the shape, you know, where it goes. So I must be careful here so I don't go too far down to the convex shape. Okay? So here you see an effect of what happened when I rolled it. And you see it started getting wavy there. And it's because it was a little light outer curve to this. And now when I'm bending in 2 dimensions, it's too much. So I need to go in with a deep shrink and just helping it a little bit to straighten this up. So what I'm going to do here now, I start little light and see where it goes. And one thing is to remember that when you see a puckle there, don't just shrink there. You need to shrink little all the way to get rid of those puckles that I had. And I already started there, and here we had a puckle, and that is gone now. So to make it a little more smooth, I go in 1 row a little further in and light tapping it down. And what I do now, I actually don't shrinking so much. I'm just tapping it down and I'm looking at the shape all the time now. So I got the shape I want. Okay, so now you see this is curved. When I'm going to roll this again, it's going to come back. So let me go over to the English wheel again without the rubber band and the round wheel and smooth this out and also twisting it down a little bit. So I'm pushing down my right hand a little bit. And you maybe have the question, why doesn't Lazze use the rubber band here? Because it's a 2-dimension and needs to be bent. No, I don't want to do that because I have some marks after the shrinker, and I want to smooth those out first, and then I can bend it at the same time there. Now I'm going to smooth the front part out, and I don't do that with this wheel because it's a little too sharp for that. I rather have a wheel that fits more into that radius. And I keep my hands close to the pivot point, the circle, so I can move it nice like that. And little hand bending, it's also necessary to do. So I think that's what it looks like now. I can always trim little here, depends on what that looks like, but it looks like I should do a straight line, maybe down to something like that, to cut that off, to match the center section better. If I want this to be a little more round, I can go in with the roundest wheel, not that one. Go in with this one, And I can, with a low pressure, bring it up so I got a little round curvature to that. That one is flat now, and that's maybe not what it should look like. But the thing that I would like to show you on this video was this concave part of it and how to do the rest. So that was all for this video. I hope you like it. And if you want more information about the classes or equipment, go to www.lazzemetalshaping.com. Thank you for watching.